Oriental dancing influenced in three main elements throughout the history. The first element was or appeared around 8th century. It was the Jawary. Jawary, by the way, they were not only girls but girls and boys. They collected them from many countries all over the world. It was in Abbasid era. They divided into around 12 sectors. Each sector has their own type of work inside the palaces or the Arabian palaces. The Jawari, they were not slaves, and also they were not, all of them were not servants, but many different types of sectors. The most important sector for us, they were called Kiyan, and they involved in entertainment inside the palaces. They collected them from many countries all over the world, as I told you. And Jawari, they were very clever when they collected many different types of step dances or folk step dances from their countries, and they gathered them to create a choreography or choreographies, and they performed inside these palaces long ago. The Jawari dances was only for the elite sector in the society, not for the public. For this reason, they were collecting the highest level or the best dance steps, and they gathered them to make this or to create these types of wonderful dances. During their performance, they used songs and music, which were the highest level of songs and music in this time. In the beginning of Abbasid era, musicians, singers, and dancers lived inside palaces, but near to the end of Abbasid era, some of the musicians and singers lived outside the palaces. During this time, and before this time also, were folk dancing from the public people or with the public people outside, which included, yes, also the musicians and singers, music and songs. But near to the end of Abbasid era, some of the musicians and singers lived outside, which made a rich music and songs for the public, and they were the good connection to let the public understand or to know much more about what is inside or what was inside the palaces from this type of art. Also, some Jawari started to live outside palaces when they became older or when they finished their work and they have their freedom to stay outside. This group of singers, musicians and dancers started to make something or to change something in the society, which we will call it later Awalem. Awalem is the element number 2 that influenced the Oriental dancing. They appeared in the society after some of the singers and musicians lived outside palaces and started to connect with the public. They used some of the folk music and songs inside their work, and also they connected some of their work which they were doing inside palaces for their work outside too, which made something wonderful, and the public loved it very much. They were using some of the Jawari dancers with them too, outside the palaces, but were very expensive. For this reason, they were looking for something to complete the vision until they met the Ghawazie. And of course, with Ghawazie, it is not expensive same as before. For this reason, they started to use Ghawazie while they are performing too. Now we reached the last element, which it is the Ghawazie. Nobody knows exactly when appeared Ghawazie throughout the history, but suddenly we found them like that in Egypt. By the way, we haven't any Ghawazie families or any Ghawazie all over the world, just only in Egypt. And by the way, we have only 2 families. One family of them were lived in Upper Egypt and the other family lived in North Egypt. Anyway, they met the Ghawazie and they started to complete the vision in the end, and all of them did all of this wonderful types of performance for the audience or for the public in Egypt. Ghawazie, by the way, studied the type of songs, music and dancing from Gypsy, who they were traveling everywhere around all Egyptian cities, and they collected all of these wonderful types of folk dancing and music and songs, and in the end they taught the Ghawazie and Ghawazie used it through their dancing. In the end of 18th century, the French campaign entered Egypt from Alexandria. Some of Ghawazie and Awalem escaped to Upper Egypt and the rest escaped to Delta. For this reason, we know now why we have two families of Ghawazie. One lived in Delta until now and the rest or the other lived in Upper Egypt. After French campaign left Egypt, Ghawazie and Awalem came back again to Cairo and Alexandria, by the way, and they started to do their work once more again. In the beginning of 19th century, a disaster had happened in Egypt, which we call it the Citadel Massacre. It was in the time of Muhammad Ali. A lot of Jawary escaped from the palaces and they met Awalem and Ghawazie in the streets, and they started to change together the way dancing in Egypt to be in this level which we know it now under the term of Oriental dancing. The Oriental dancing now influenced by these three different types of elements: the Jawary, as I told you, Awalem and Ghawazie. Step by step, people in the streets, or let me say the public, they loved very much to watch this type of dancing, and they used to hear the music and this type of music and this type of songs also while they watching this type of dancing. So for this reason we can say that now the Oriental dance is the highest level of folk dancing in Egypt. Of course, we have Oriental dancing all over the world, as I told you before, but every place all over the world or the Arabic world have their own flavor or own type of Oriental dancing. For this reason, we can find the Oriental dancing in Lebanon, in Arab countries, in Iraq, in Iran, in Turkey, in many places all over the Arab world. Every place has their own type and flavor of this type of Oriental dancing. Because of this time long ago when it started to spread everywhere all over the Arab countries. Now we go to the term of belly dancing. By the way, we haven't any type of folk dance, we call it belly dancing, because belly is abdomen and we haven't any type of dance belongs only the abdomen. But this term, I think, coming from the French campaign when they saw the girls when they move or use their abdomen by this way, which we call it chemi, as many of us call it chemi, and they found this lower shaking by this way, so for this reason they call it dance de ventre. Some people said that belly dancing coming when or this term appeared from the British soldiers saw it is also in the streets here in Egypt or something like this. I don't know exactly which one of these terms is the correct term for this type of dance, but anyway, this is a seductive dance which all of us we love it very much also here in Egypt and many other countries. People sometimes they mix it between both the Oriental dancing and belly dancing. For this reason I tried many times to explain for you the difference between both, and I hope now you understand this difference and how this Oriental dancing appeared like that or like this way we love very much. This one of the videos I love to share with you, which I hope you like it also. And of course, if you have any comment or any question, please write it me and send to me, and we can discuss together all these points. Thank you very much, and see you again very soon in the next video.